Hi everyone, welcome to today's session. We are thrilled to announce the launch of SLMs. The objective of this video is to really walk you through what are SLMs, what can you use them for, and how do they really unlock some next generation kind of use cases at the nexus between agents, function calls, multi-step RAG, all deployed on a CPU. So what are SLMs? A SLM is a structured language instruction model. These are small, specialized function calling LLMs that have been carefully fine-tuned to provide structured outputs that can be handled programmatically. So instead of outputting just standard text, they output Python dictionaries, they output JSON, they output SQL, outputs that you can then handle programmatically in a more complex workflow. Now, what would you actually do with this? Let's start with an example to really motivate the problem that we're trying to solve. Well, on the left, you see a very simple but very representative type of transcript, some type of input text that you may see into some LLM-based process. This could be feedback that you got from a customer, could be an earnings call, it could be any other form of text that's coming into the enterprise. Now, what did we typically see in 2023? It was so 2023, that was a long time ago, right? But what would we typically see in an example like this? It would be some form of how do we create a prompt? How do we create that prompt to generate some type of summary? The summary itself will be typically multiple bullet points or longer text or a few different paragraphs. And usually we'd be using some type of cloud-based LLM. This would be the proof of concept, the hello world example of, look, we can summarize an incoming piece of text. But what's happened to all of us is that TLDR is TLDR. So text coming in, text coming out, even if it's a little bit less text, it's still a lot of text to process. And so where we believe that the market is really going, that was Gen AI 2023. That's old school. Gen AI 2024, we believe fundamentally is about multi-step processes being deployed through high-level APIs, conceptualized as agents. It's about thinking about LLMs as function calls, providing structured outputs. It's about enabling not just another open-ended, bullet-pointed kind of report, but how do you really start to deliver structured reports with well-identified keys that ultimately map up then with enterprise processes and enterprise data? And then actually, how do you do all of this privately and in private cloud? What we believe people ultimately want, where things are in 2024, is the output of that whole process then is not another big report. It's something that looks a lot like this. Decomposing this through a whole set of structured steps, specialized models going out, reading the text, identifying key things, and automatically packaging it up and generating it as a really nice dictionary report like this. So to maybe lay it out in a slightly bigger picture, in a minute we're going to take a look at the demo, but just to motivate it, you have an incoming text, some type of work item coming in. You then want a whole series, right? A whole series of different models that can be stacked together, that can be orchestrated to form an end-to-end process to go through multiple steps of analysis. The first model might come in and do some type of extraction of key information, perhaps of named entities or of people. You then may want to pass that to a classifier model that's going to be looking at some soft skills type of classification. Perhaps it's the intent or sentiment or emotion or an overall topic category. Based on that, route it in different directions. Perhaps we want to go then and route this to an overall question answering model, answer and ask a bunch of questions, or perhaps we want to, based on the classification that we've received, do some additional lookup, run a query against an enterprise data store. And then finally, we want to package all of this work up, write some type of report, and have that seamlessly integrate into some business as usual enterprise process. Now, underpinning all of this is a scalable data pipeline of an AI-ready knowledge base that consists of documents that have been text chunked and parsed and indexed, have been vectorized, having run through an embedding model, but it also increasingly includes SQL table data. Most of the valuable data in an enterprise is SQL table data. How does that start to connect to these types of workflows? Again, we see that as one of the key things to really unlocking the potential of a lot of LLM-based automation. So this is, in a nutshell, the problem that we're ultimately trying to crack, and where we believe the SLM models, and the SLM models are every single one of those the diamonds on the chart. By orchestrating these models, we believe you can do some extremely complex and powerful, multi-step automation, and you can do all of it running on local cloud. So hopefully that motivates the problem. We are going to have a whole series of both videos and examples that walk through all the technical underpinnings, the technical specifications of the SLIM models, how they work, how you get them, all of that. But what we want to do now is we want to flip over and we want to show you a running demo based on the scenario that we've mapped out here. Okay, so now I've flipped over to the IDE. Let's take a look actually at a demo scenario using SLIMs in LLMWare to generate that kind of multi-key structured dictionary report. Now, if you recall from the PowerPoint slide that we looked at, this was the customer transcript. So we've just passed it in now as a string. We're going to go and we're going to call this method that we've created, the multi-step report. And I'm going to walk you through this quickly. Again, we have a lot of other tutorials on the nuts and bolts of how to use these models, but I want to at least start to orient you to some of the ways that we're creating an agent framework that we think is a very simple way to start orchestrating these function calls using SLIM models. So as always, you'd load in from LLMWare. We're going to use primarily this LLMFX class. We're going to use that LLM function class to go instantiate an agent. We're going to load in the work of the customer transcript. We're then going to load up a bunch of tools, and each of these tools are 4-bit quantized SLIM models. You can identify them here simply by name, by the category. We're going to load in a bunch of those tools. And again, just as a reminder, all of these are models. LLM-based models are going to be running locally on this machine. We're then going to run the agent through a series of analyses. We're going to go get the sentiment. We're going to get the emotions. We're going to get the intent. We're going to call on the ratings. We're then going to run through NER topics and tags. And we just show a few different ways that you can easily call and invoke these. We're then going to ask a couple of questions. So we're going to say, what is a short summary? What is the customer's account number and username? We're going to unload some of these models. Again, remember, they're all running locally on a CPU. Then we're going to show you the report. Then we're going to show the activity summary and then some of the output that we get from this. So with that, perhaps as a backdrop, you can see how intuitive, how easy. We've really tried to design this to be a very nice high-level API that you can do some powerful orchestration across multiple models. So let's dive in and let's see it. So let's go ahead and run. Now what we're doing, we've just loaded all the tools and now we're off and running. So each of the tools are processing. We have journaling capability that's been turned on. So as each tool runs, we actually see this running journal on the screen showing us step by step by step. As the tool is loaded, as the tool generates some inference and then the output, and we're done. So now what we just did, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you the results. We just ran through 9 different inferences. We used 8 different tools, 8 different models, all running locally, highly specialized, delivering structured outputs. And what this generated for us is this right here. It generated the report for us, all as a nice, structured, predictable Python dictionary. All those models were able to orchestrate. All the state was handled by that LLMFX class. And we're able to get a really nice, distilled, structured report out of this. And again, all running locally, all with small specialized SLIM models running under the covers. Now, let's take a minute. Let's walk you through what we've got here because it's pretty cool. You can turn off this. This is a verbose mode. You can turn it off if you don't want to see all this stuff on the screen. And we found it's actually a really cool way to start conceptualizing some of these processes and all the different things that are happening. It also becomes a really powerful debugging tool as you're working on some of this to identify what are the steps, what's happening, and where potentially is some multi-step process breaking down. So to start with, we loaded all of those tools. Please note, if you run this locally the first time, it is going to download and cache those tools. So it will take maybe 30 seconds to a minute to start downloading and caching those tools. Once the tools are actually loaded, we start running our function calls. So we ran a sentiment classifier. You can see the output of it then is a nice Python dictionary of sentiment with a list then of results. In this case, the one value that we would expect is negative. You get all the details then that the output type is a dictionary, the usage information around it, and then we go and we analyze it. And what we've actually done is we've built up a methodology around the logit analysis for these types of structured outputs. So what you can actually see then color-coded is the confidence that the model had in the output that it produced. We produce an overall confidence score. You can then look and see several of the choices that were considered. So in this case, 0.79 negative, 0.16 towards neutral, 0.04 towards positive. There was very little signal that this was going to generate a positive sentiment. All of that is then provided, and then we move on to the next one. So emotions. We saw that the emotion was annoyed, but it's interesting to look at some of the other choices, and you can see pretty clearly angry, furious were some of the other choices that were being considered around emotion. This color coding gives you a great way to see the overall confidence level that the model had, how many other choices were being considered in delivering that answer. Customer service was the intent. The rating is on a scale of 1 to 5, so our rating model, you could say it's a degree of sentiment. 5 being very, very positive, 1 being very negative. It was spot on here that this was a very negative call, but you can see the next choice, again, very sensibly, about 0.22, it was going to deliver a 2. Again, it gives us a great indication of some of the choices that the model made, some follow-on analysis that we can do in post-processing. The NER analysis extracted the key people, it extracted the location information. Again, you see the really nice visualization of it. The topic in this case, not that helpful. It was a query that it generated. The tags are really interesting. This actually gives us some tags automatically generated of some of the key pieces of information that are being pulled out of that text that we can use then to enrich this if we want to do follow-up queries, we want to embed this in some type of text index. Here are some tags auto-generated that we can start to attach to that. And then we go and we ask a couple of questions. We ask for a short summary. Michael Jones has been calling Mixco for the past 4 times. He's not received any response. We then put all of this together along with the customer information query that we asked, and you see this beautiful report that we've just been able to generate. You can see how simple the code was, how we've been able to orchestrate 8 different models, all coordinated and generating this type of output. And then what we actually get is this type of response analysis. Track step by step what tool was used, the inference, and all of the metadata associated with it. So we hope that you've enjoyed this example. Stay tuned. We've got a bunch more videos and a bunch more examples to start to break down these individual components so you can start writing and deploying code like this yourself. Thanks again, everybody. Take care and have a great day. Any questions, as always, please check us out on Discord.